Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Right. Welcome to today's class. Um, basically, to, today's class is going to be a revision class, and we are going to be touching on everything we've done so far, and we are going to see how we can solve the challenges people are facing in terms of, you know, what we've learned so far, and maybe the topics, right? Um, in the last 2 weeks, we've talked mainly about the introduction to JavaScript. We've talked about um, variables and constants. We've talked about string, number, and we've talked about the Boolean data types. Of course, we talked broadly about the different, should I say, classes of data types. So we have the primitive data type and we have the reference data types. Okay. So we mainly talked about the primitive data types. That's the examples of those primitive data types, like the string, number, Boolean, um, null, and undefined, right? Yeah. Um, So, and also we've talked about functions, we've talked about callback already, right? And I feel that's already a lot in terms of what we've covered so far. And everybody might not be following, especially the fact that we have a mixture of uh, advanced, people here, and then we also have beginners at the same time. So the advanced ones might really understand what is happening, while the people that are new to this, right? They are totally new to it. That's JavaScript might not really know what is going on. So this class will remove you know, every challenge in terms of what is going on at the end of the day. So you don't have to carry those challenges on but till the next class. Okay. Okay. So someone is saying we are going through a lot. Okay. That I'm here to lift that a lot from you and throw it in the dustbin. So let's start with the first question. Bright asked, he said there was a time you used the double and statement and you didn't run through them, and the or and the not. Okay, let me actually go through them in this class for clarity's sake, right? Um, there are different, uh, now when you're comparing values, in your conditional statements, you might Of course, it might be very simple, it might be a complex comparison, but when you want to compare multiple um, values, right? And then you want to see how both of them work and everything, you can chain them using either and or an or statement, right? You can chain them using that, uh, um, or you can use a not statement to oppose what was being written. I'm going to show all these things I'm trying to say. Um, right. So let's already go to VS Code because that is where the the fun actually happens. Let me reshare my screen. Let me reshare my screen. Okay, and I hope you can see. Um, I hope you can see my VS Code. Right. This was the last thing I did. Uh, but I'll comment it and let's go over this. So we are going to be talking about this statement. We are going to be talking about um and so that would be the and or um not. Um, we also talk about the strictly equal to. We'll talk about the I'll call it the equal to comparison. Maybe equal to comparison comparison operator. We'll talk about strictly equal to comparison operator. Yeah, maybe not equal to and not. Okay. Maybe I would also go through this one. Okay. I like the way this is giving me all that. Maybe let me just see how far it can take. All right. Don't mind me. We are not going to go into ternary operators in this class. So let's start with this um and right. It's usually called logical and logical or logical not. Actually, for people that are wondering how I did that, right? This is the simple way to do it. You like while your mouse is here or wherever you want it to be first, you hold down your ALT key and you click on wherever you want your mouse to be again. So now you can move, you can write, you know, multiple times. So you press your ALT key down, then you put the mouse, you click where you want the mouse to be or where you want the pointer, Abi, or your inputs to show. So you can have multiple inputs that way. Okay. Now use logical and when you want a true result, from your if statement. Now let me explain something. If we have something like this, let's say we have let a equals to 5 and you're checking if a is greater than 3, for example, right? And then maybe you want to console the log something. Maybe you want to console the log um true statement, right? Or true comparison or whatever I want to do. Now, one thing you need to understand is whatever you put in this bracket has to resolve to a true before this if statement can run. It is one thing you need to understand. If what you're comparing, the expression you're writing here, or the comparison you're writing here resolve to a false, this if block of code will not run. That's one very key thing you need to understand. Now, the logical and is saying, um, for example, if I want to check if a is equals to or a is greater than 3 and a is equals to 5, for example, right? Now, um, in your truth table, if I want to draw, or should I say, illustrate a very simple truth table, um, so I'll just say something like inputs, uh, inputs, and then maybe I have a tab, maybe multiple tab, and I'll say outputs. Now, let's take for example, um you have a simple maybe let's take for example you have two inputs. The first input is true. and the second input is true, your output will be true. Ah, um, let me just use this to thank you. All right, so sorry, now if you have multiple inputs to be true, now this is an and this is an and truth table. Is an untruth table. Now, the untruth table says your outputs will only be true if there are two true inputs, or if all the inputs are true. So even if you have five inputs, if all of the inputs are true, that is when you can have an output of true. Okay. Now that's why this statement will actually. So if I do something like that, if I write that and I say node app.js and I execute it, right? Okay, I didn't save. Sorry, I didn't save. So let me clear that and execute it again. Now, if you notice this this statement here resolves to a true, and this statement resolves to a true. That is why uh the output of these two statements is true, you know. So now, since the output of comparing these two, that's the truth that is resolved from this comparing these statements and the truth from that is resolved when comparing these other two statements, right? When we have that true, since of course whatever expression you have here written, if it evaluates to a true, your if statement will run. That's why we are having uh this output here, because everything whatever we've written here resolves to a true. Now imagine that let's take for example, maybe I change that to um a should be equals to 8, and I save it and come back here and I execute the code. This part of the statement is true, but this other part is false, right? So because this part is false now, and we're using an and symbol here, and remember that an and symbol says that whatever these are like inputs now, right? So whatever values or inputs you're comparing, all of them have to resolve to a true before you can get a true as an output. So at the end of the day, because these two are not, well, because one of these, which is this part, is not true, right? The output of this expression will be false. And since the output of this expression is false, this line or this block of code will not execute. So if there was an else block of code that was here, for example, that else block of code will be what will be executed. Okay. So that's how it works. Okay. That's how it basically works. I don't know if there's anybody that's confused on that. Is there anybody that is still confused? Or should I still explain again? Do you guys understand what I've explained so far? Do you understand? If you don't understand, um, you can actually ask about or draw my attention to where you missed out on, so I can go back and reiterate. Is there anybody that is not following? Anybody? All right, so everybody's following. Nice. Let's continue. So this is already how and the and statement is or works, and then this makes use of um the double and. So that's the double and symbol. Now this symbol is mainly called the ampersand symbol. So in case you see ampersand symbol, so like each not like this symbol on its own. So we have a double ampersand symbol. Like we have two ampersand symbol to okay to What is this trying to say? Right? Okay, sorry about that. We have the double, so we call it the double ampersand symbol, or you can call it an, like, each of it is an, each of this symbol is an ampersand. So this would be like a double ampersand symbol, right? Then we have the pipe. The pipe is used for or, right? So the takeaway of this, right, is that you should understand that it's only when the comparisons you're making resolves to true. All of them resolve to true before you can get a true back. And then in getting a true back will make this to execute. So if I want to even have more, I can say and a is less than 10. This will still be false until I now change this to, let's say a is equals to 5, for example. Once I do that and I come back here and execute that code, so you see, it's saying, okay, oh, a is greater than 3. This is true. That's true. Oh, a is equals to 5. Yes, that is true. And a is less than 10. Oh, that's true. So since all of this is true, that is why a true will be what will be returned after uh this statement has been executed, right, or has been read. All this thing will just evaluate to true. And since that evaluates to a true, this block of code will run, right? Now if this is the truth table here, right? The only way you can have a true output is when all of this expression here resolves to a true. If anyone is false, everything will be false. Once anyone is false, what your result will be false. Now, if we move on to, so this one is for the and, right? Let's move over to the or. So for the or, we have the uh we have the or truth table, right? So this makes my work easy, fast actually. So we see that in the or truth table, one of the inputs has to be true to have an output of true. At least one of the inputs has to be true. So if the two inputs are true, right, you have a true. If one, maybe the one on the left is true, you have a true. If the one on the right is true, you have a true. As far as there is at least just one true in the inputs, then the output will be true. So now if we wanted to do that same thing here, right? If we wanted to do that same thing here, um, we'll just write this expression here, but instead of having the and statement, we can convert this to an or, right? Now you might be wondering, where do you get this pipe symbol on your keyboard? If you hold your shift button and then the key, there is a key that is very close to your enter, is at the left side of your enter. If you click that button, um it should um it should give you what you're looking for. Mr. Celestine, you just drew on my screen. So if you press your shift key and then you press uh your, please don't, nobody should draw on my screen. I won't tolerate it. Okay, so let's continue actually. Um we have the or statement here, right? Now, even if let me make this a false, right? Let me make this resolve to a false. So let me say A is equals to 14. Remember, let me bring A down so we will not lose sight of A, right? So we have that this is wrong. This is not, this is going to be a false, right? But A is less, sorry, A is greater than 3, right? This one is true. And then A is less than 10. Yes. 5 is less than 10 now. Yes, this is true, right? Uh, Let me save it and come and run it. You see that this gives a true statement. Okay. That gives a true statement. Please. All right, let's continue. Let's continue. So now we've just executed. Let me execute it again. Now the reason that we have this truth statement coming out is because one of the inputs is actually true. In fact, at least one of the inputs is actually true. But in this case, of course, we have two inputs that are true. We have this one to be true. We have this one to be true. But it's only this one that is false, right? And remember that the or here states that. Sorry, please give me a minute. If you draw on my screen, I'll just remove someone. If you draw on my screen, I'll remove you from this call. All right, so I've removed one person. Try it. Let's continue. All right, let's continue. Now, if you have this and this, at least those two are true, while one is false. Since the input, at least one of them is true, that's why you have this truth statement. You have this true coming out here, right? But if all of them is false, that's when you can have an output of false. So let's say, for example, um A is greater than 15, but that's not true. A is not greater than 15. 5 is not greater than 15. 5 is less than 15. Or and A is less than 1, right? If I do that, it doesn't um, give me any result. Now that's because all the inputs are actually false, right? All of the inputs are actually false. So since all of them is false, or all of them are false, the expression here resolves to a fork here. Is not being printed out. Is there anybody that is confused at this point? Is there anyone that is confused? Okay, so no one is confused at this point. No one is saying anything. Um, so let's see. Let's see how it's going to be. Um, Let's look at the not, right? So we had, sorry, we had the and, we've talked about, and we've talked about or. Then we will talk about the not operator. Now the not operator is very, very simple, right? The not operator is used to negate um the input, right? Or the input value. Now negate in the sense that if the input value is true, that negation, that's not is going to convert it to a false and then give the output as false. If the expression is false, right? If the result of the expression is false and you have that negation statement, it will change it from false to being true. Now, here's what I mean, right? Let's let me copy this and let me come here, right? And then we have this statement. Let me remove all this, right? Let's say a is equals, let me put it back as a is equals to 3. Of course, this should work, right? It shows true statement a is equals to 3. A is equals to 3. Now, if I wrap this in its own bracket and I put an exclamation mark before it, remember that it is true that a is greater than 3. A is 5. 5 is greater than 3, right? It's true. But now, this exclamation mark I have put before this comparison is going to change the value after comparing these two from true to false, and then we will not have anything being outputted here. Let's check that out and see how it works. And let me save this if I've not saved it. And then let me execute. Now you see, it's not it this A3 is Abi, A is greater than 3. A is 5, right? And we are checking 5 is greater than 3, right? So 5 is greater than 3, but we are negating the value we got here. That's why you're having this value here. Like that's why at the end of the day, this is going to resolve to a false. And since it resolves to a false, well, the only thing you're going to get a false. Basically, don't mind me, you'll get a false, and then this particular line of code will not execute. But let's take for example, maybe a is greater than 200. Let me just write that. Of course, a is greater than 200 is false because 5 is not greater than 200. 5 is less than 200, right? So this is supposed to give us a false, but because of this exclamation mark here, it will actually be converted to a true. So if I save that and come back here, we see that we have this console.log here saying true statement, right? True statement. And that's because what we are expressing here or what we are comparing here plus the negation symbol, outputs to a true, outputs a true. And since the value here is a true, this block of code will be executed. Okay, so I hope I have been able to explain that aspect for you guys to clearly understand. Is there anybody that is still confused about this aspect, this the and, the or, and the not operator? Is there anybody that is confused, still confused about it? Anybody? Nobody saying anything. I hope all of us we are here, right? Now, let's move forward. Since nobody's saying they are confused, so let's move forward. Now let's talk about So, Emeka, you're the next person that is drawing on my screen. You're the next person drawing on my screen. Please don't draw on my screen. I won't take it. I won't tolerate it. All right, so let's um let's continue actually. I don't know why today everybody wants to draw my screen. Um, so I'm happy. Satrayom says he's no more confused, right? Let's actually move on. Now, we have equal to comparison. We have strictly equal to comparison. Now, equal to comparison makes use of the symbol double equal to. Strictly equal to makes use of the comparison three with three equal to symbol, right? Uh, strictly not equals to makes use of this symbol, right? An exclamation mark and an equal to, while strictly not equal to makes use of an exclamation mark and two not equal to, or two equal symbol. Now let's see how this works, right? So let me comment that code and then let's come here. Right. Now, let's say we have let A equals to 5, and then we have something like let B equals to 5, right? Now, it's good this AI knows my heart desires. So, um, we have something like this, right? And then we are checking if A is equals to B, right? Now, at the end of the day, if you run this code, it is going to tell you that they are equal. So if I clear it and come here and execute the statement, you'll see that we are we have this execute, right? Because what is happening basically here is that there is what is called type coercion, right? And uh, it's basically that these two variables, the value of these two variables are um okay. Mr. Maker, I've heard you. I've heard you. Um, there's what is called type coercion, right? Um, the type coercion converts both both value of the variables to the same type. So now in this case, it converts five. It converts A, which is this number 5, to a string. So A will now become string 5. During this comparison, right? That's one way to think of it. Another way to think of it is that you'd say that both of them, right? That the compiler or the interpreter in this case for JavaScript doesn't look at the type of the two um, uh, variables. Rather, it looks at the value of those two variables, right? But thinking about it, what mainly happens is that the number 5 here is converted to a string and then is compared with this B, which is also string 5. So that's why at the end of the day, it's it executes, right, and gives out a true statement. But now if I say I want to strictly, compare both of them, if I come back here and clear and then run the code, it's not going to output any results. Now that is because when you're strictly comparing two values, you are comparing the value of these two variables and the type of these two variables. Now, even if the two variables have the value of 5, they are not of the same type. This one is a string while this one is a number. So because of the difference in their type, that is why uh it's not executing the statement, because it's the triple equal to here is saying strictly check if A and B are equal in value and also equal in type. So if they are, even if they are equal in value, if they are not equal in type, this will resolve to a false. So the only way that this is going to resolve to a true is if both of them have the same value and the same data type. So, for example, if I convert this to a string now say I'm comparing A and B, and both of them are string and both of them have the same value. That's when you have a true statement, you know, executing here. But apart from that, it's not going to work. Apart from that, it's not going to work. Okay. So that's the main difference between, that. And then we then have, of course, which means I've explained this one also, right? I've explained equal to and strictly equal to. Now, not equal to and strict not equal to is the direct opposite of this, right? It's like, so let me explain before I don't know if while saying direct opposite of, people might think about something else. Now, if I say that I want to compare 5 and 5. If I check that, I want to check, is it true that 5 is not equal to 5? In fact, this one will give a true. This one will give a true. So true statements, even if I put 1 here, is going to give it. Okay, it's not going to give a true statement. Sorry about that. Okay, now let me even explain why that is. So we are checking, is it true that 5 is not equals to 5? Right? Is it true that 5 is not equals to 5? Remember that at this point, it will, sorry about that, please. So you know that at this point, it is going to convert both um, variables to the same data type, and then it is going to then compare both of them, right? So now it's 5, like A and B are equal in value. But now we are checking, is it true that they are not equal in value? It's false that they are not equal in value. Okay, so that is why it is not printing out anything. It's not printing out any statement. Okay, but now if we put the double equal to, then we come back here, it brings true statements. Now that is because we are checking for both. We are checking that they are not equal both in um both in value and in type. Are you guys still getting it? Are you guys still following? So this one checks, oh, are they equal in value and type? They are equal in value, but it's true that they are not equal in type. Okay. So since it's true that they are not equal in type, but even if they are equal in value, that's why this true statement is being executed. Yeah, so the increase you're saying, so this logic can be used in find and replace command. Yeah, so if you're looping through, if you converted a string, if you converted let's say maybe a paragraph into a string, then you convert it into an array, then you're looping through each word to check each word or something like that. Yeah, so you can search the string to find a particular word and replace it. But then the best to even do would even be to use a like regular expression. So there's a part of JavaScript or virtually any programming language, right, has regular expression, right? So regular expressions, you'd use it to find patterns in your in your string, and then you can use regular expressions methods to change that value. But we are not the regular expressions here. You can go and read about regular expressions in JavaScript. Okay, right. So um, I believe I've been able to explain this right to you guys to understand. Okay. So greater than or equal to comparison operator, less than or equal to you guys. Okay, so I'm also going to go over this. I'm also going to go over that. So before I move forward, do you guys already understand what I'm talking about here? Do you understand this not equal to and strictly not equal to understand? So yeah, the increase, they are similar. Yes, so the way not equal to and strict not equal to, and then equal to and strict equal to, they work. They are actually similar, yeah. But this one does the opposite. It checks if they are not equal. Meanwhile, this one checks if they are equal, right? So, is there any other person that finds it difficult? Anybody? So, for everybody that nobody is saying they don't understand this thing, oh, but no problem. Let's continue. So, now we are going into the increase you're asking, can we then have it for the equal to? Um, I don't understand your question. The equal to has double equal to and triple equal to, right? Double equal to means equal to, then strictly equal to. Um, Now, please don't confuse this double equal to with assigning a variable. Assigning a variable is different from using double equal to compare, two expressions. I'm not really sure of what you're saying, the increase, but you can have, yeah, okay, for example, let's come back here. You can have something like this. You can do something like this. If this is that and this is allowed, definitely. So you can say, is this less than this, or is this strictly not equal to this, or is this like this is allowed. You can have multiple chains. You can have and another or and all those stuff like that. So basically, equals to is for assigning variables. Okay, equals to like this is for assigning variables. Double equal to, triple equal to is for comparing two values, right? Comparing the left and the right values. And if you want to compare more than just two values, you can use and or to change those values. So you can have this is this and that is that. You can have and another expression here and so on and so forth, depending on what you want to achieve. Yeah, so Udo, what you're saying is correct. Um, Double equal to like this is not strict comparison. It is triple equal to, right? That is strict comparison, right? So double equal to is not strict comparison, but it's comparison anyways. Okay, so let's continue from there. Let's come down here, right? Um, so if we mention this, if we say A is equals to 5, is okay. Now we want to check is 5. Okay, let me say B is 10. maybe is five okay. Let me remove B actually. Let's just use one. Now, yeah. So you can let's just come back to this, right? Right. So double equals to can also be called loosely equal to. Loosely equal to. While the triple one, right? The triple one here is you can say this is strictly equal to. So you can say is A strictly equal to this if there are three equal to symbol. But if there are two equal to symbol, you can read it as is A loosely equal to B. Uh-huh. All right. So you said, so let's continue. If we said A is A greater than 5, this will be a false, right? This will be a false, right? Because A is not greater than 5. A is actually equal to 5. So that's why you don't have um a result. Because now when you say is A greater than 5, you're trying to ask is A 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or anything greater. That's what you've written here. So it's going to start checking if A is 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 or 12. Like if A is greater than 5. Okay. But if you say is A greater than or equal to 5, what you're now saying is A 5 or is A 6 or is A 7 or is A 8 and so on and so forth. So this one starts from the current value, which is 5. So you're saying is A first, is A equals to 5? Like is the value of A equals to 5? If the value is not A is A, if the value of A is not 5, you now check, for the rest. Is it 6? Is it 7? Is it 8? Is it 9? Is it 10? But if you remove this, it's not going to start from 5. It's going to start from 6. So putting it back and then coming to run this code now is going to show you a true statement because, of course, we just checked if A is greater than or equal to 5. So A is not greater than 5, but A is equal to 5. That's why we have this line or this block of code being executed after this expression. Okay, understood? Understood? Do we understand that? It's important to know this, so it's very, very, very important to know because at the end of the day, this is everything. All these big applications you're seeing, big whatever, programs and everything. These are the building blocks of it, right? These are the very basic building blocks of it, and you should understand this before you move forward. Okay. Um. Of course, is this is the opposite for this less than or less than or equal to. So if we wanted to do the same thing but with less than or equal to, I would say is so now if I say is A less than 5, so I'm checking is A4, is A3, is A2, is A1, is A0, is A minus 1, is A minus 2. It's going to start from the next number after 5, or sorry, before 5, which is 4. So if I do this, it's not going to execute anything because yeah, we are checking if A is 4 or anything less than 4. That's what we are trying to check here. So is A less than 5? But A is 5. We are checking if it's less than 5. It's not true. So that's why nothing is executing here, or there's no output because this block of code is not being executed. But then if we now say is A less than or equal to 5, now of course is A less than or equal to 5? Yes. Even if A is not less than 5, but A is equal to 5. So 5 is equals to 5. So since A is equals to 5, of course, it's going to print a statement here saying, oh, true statement, because it is true that A is, less than or equal to 5. Now, sorry, even if A is not less than 5, but A is equals to 5. Yeah, so that's why this is being executed. So do you guys understand that? Do you guys understand it? Is there anybody that doesn't understand um what I've explained so far? Is there anybody that don't understand it? Okay. Let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. Um, so I've explained all this already. I don't think we need to really touch on it, right? Now, the next thing to explain is data types, right? Right. So we talked about data types in the other class or in one of our classes. So say primitive. So I'll choose primitive data types in JavaScript. String numbers, boolean, undefined symbol. Why is it using Udo? Even my the AI here understands Udo, right? So I like this AI, right? I like Copilot. So let's look at this, right? Although symbol is kind of unique, but we are just going to check the type of symbol, right? Uh Now, right? So we have um this is how you would express your string, right? These are like the primitive data types we have. Okay, so we have string as your primitive data type. We have number, we have boolean, so a student equals to true. Um, we have address. Okay, we sorry, we have no, right? No, that's to express emptiness. Okay, and then the way we can have undefined here, or the way we can create undefined is having a variable that doesn't have a value. Then symbol here, right? Now, symbol makes it possible to have um an expression, maybe a string expression that you can use multiple times, but they don't actually mean the same thing because they are symbols, so they are unique in that sense. Okay. But then let me just execute that code. See, now what we are just doing here simply is that we are checking the different types. We are saying, oh, what type of this student, type of address. Okay, and it's telling you that it's an object, right? But it's actually null. So null is considered an object in JavaScript. Okay, whatever reason they actually did, resolved to and came up with that, it's actually kind of funny. Okay, so we have all that, and then each of them have their various method. Okay, so for example, the string method or the string data type, right? The string data type has its own properties. For example, if I want to know the length of this string, like, oh, how many words or how many character, not words, how many character, you know, is contained inside the string Udo, for example, right? That is, it's going to, um, I'll get a result. Okay, and that's because there's a property, a string property, that's the property of the string, type that is called length. And that length gives me the number of characters that are in there, right? And that length can be useful in a lot of different kind of cases. When you want, maybe you want to slice out the last three. letters of someone's name, or you want to slice out the first two letters. You know that thing that when you save your number newly on your phone, you know, maybe you save my number as Victor, it will now slice out V and I, and then use that thing to do kind of a placeholder uh, picture, so that I can you can use that to know, okay, even if you don't check the name Victor, you just see VI, okay, the person's name starts with VI, it should be Victor, you know. You can use so you can pick someone's name, slice it by the first two strings, and then apply your styling on those string and the background, and then make the background round, and then present that as an avatar that can always be used if someone doesn't have a profile image. You know, that's how that is done, for example. Okay. Um, so let's see. Let's see how, so if I say something like name dot length. Actually, the reason this name is even cancelled is because you're not allowed to use name as a variable, not because you can't use name, but because name, I think name in this is a reserve. Okay, name is deprecated. Okay, the declaration was marked deprecated here, so void name is okay. So you should not use the word name for your variable. Maybe you can use something like user username, something like that. It's not going to cancel it for you. So let me clear that and then come back here. This last three here you're seeing is the value that outputs the length of Udo. That's the length of the name Udo, right? So that's three, and it's important to know. Okay, so then you can have some things like let me give a long name. Let's say Emmanuel, right? Then you come back here. Sorry, I didn't save. So that's it. So, but what if I wanted just EM from the Emmanuel? I'd say slice 02. Slice, sorry, username dot slice. You see that it slices E and M. So let me explain this. Remember that strings are also zero indexed. So the index of the value E in this string is zero. The index of for the value, the first M is 1, the second M, the index is 2, right? And then the third M, its index is 3, and so on and so forth. So when you say that you want to, pick, you want to slice out in EM from there, you're saying start from 0. You understand? Start from 0, which is the E, slice up to 2, the position of 2. So now what is going to do is going to slice E 0, is going to slice M, which is the value of 1. Then it's going to come and stop at 2. So you're not saying it should also return the value at 2. So when you say slice, and stop at the index of 2, it's going to return the value before that index that you're stopping at. So that's why it's not returning EMM, it's just returning EM, because it's stopping at the index of 2. So if I wanted it to stop at the index of 3, I'll say that. So that would be EMM. So what if I wanted to, let me come back to 2. Let me make it 2, right? What if I wanted to slice only the first M? That would mean me saying 1 and 2. So this M here is the first M in the word Emmanuel, or in the name Emmanuel. Okay? So if I put it that way, see, it's now EM. So I can say now you can change your methods. You can say dot to to uppercase to uppercase. You see that I now convert it from smaller EM to the uppercase EM. Of course, you can remove this and just make it to uppercase. Okay, so that will convert the whole Emmanuel to uppercase. You can convert this to lowercase also. You can say to lowercase. By the way, you're saying to lowercase and to local lowercase, right? And you might be wondering what is going on. To lowercase is going to use the internet standard, right? For your oh sorry, yeah, it's going to use the general standard um for the language, and then the uppercase and lowercase, right? Of the word you want to convert to small letter and to capital letter. But if you use to local lowercase or to local uppercase, it's going to use your PC's settings for the language, and the PC setting for the what is lowercase and what is uppercase in terms of characters or letters, and then it's going to use that to form the uppercase or lowercase words that you're looking for. Okay. Okay. Bright, so you're asking, is that being done by front end or the back end guy? So, basically, all of this, any of this, I don't really know what you're referring to as what should be done by the front end guy or the back end guy. But the basic thing is that the anybody can use any data type, anybody, and anybody can use any um any method, right? Any method, slice, split, all those things, all of them can be used by either a front end developer or a back end developer. So there's no specific, oh, this one is a back end developer tag, or this is a back end that will be used. It's nothing like that anyway. Anybody can be in a situation where they need to use, any of them. Okay. Is there any question? Okay, so Bright is asking, um, he's talking about slicing a name, you know. Now in terms of that profile picture that shows your letter, the first two letters of your name, that is done by the front-end developer. So it doesn't make any sense to save the sliced version on your database, right? You're just occupying extra space. Rather, you just save the name of the user on the back end. Then when the front end requires that they need to show the username of the person, the back end sends the username to the front end. It's the front end that decides if he wants to slice part of the name and use it for, an avatar, or it wants to turn the whole name to capital letter, or it wants to reverse the name, or anything it wants to do with the name, right? It's backend's own is to, keep the data and retrieve it when it is due or when it is needed. Front end is the one that does the whole how changing how it looks and everything, making it bold and all those stuff. It's not thank God, oh. So Bright is saying thank God. You will still write this thing on the back end some way, somehow. You will still come across slice and you will use it on your back end. So you've not escaped actually. You've not escaped. So I hope, is there any question you guys can ask? Any question? Okay. Um, any question? Anybody? Nobody? No problem. All right. So let's continue, right? There are others, right? There are, so the lowercase is just one. Of course, there's to uppercase, there's to local uppercase, to to local lowercase. There is the normal one. There are different other methods, right? Now, note you're using this on a string. You can't say, like for example, the age 30. You can't say 30 dot to lower case or 30 dot to uppercase because 30 is a number and uh, the the um, the methods for string will not work on number. Okay, I hope that is clear. Hello, I hope that is clear. I hope you guys can hear me. Now let's continue. Okay, Bright, you're saying it wasn't right. Now the thing is, um, local lowercase and lowercase will work exactly the same way currently because my language, both on my PC and the language by virtue of my location on planet Earth, which is Africa and Nigeria, is English. So they are going to. It's not. You're not going to see the difference. You're not going to see any much difference, or not even much difference. You're not going to see any difference between me using to lowercase and then to local lowercase on my PC currently. So, but personally, I would advise to use local lowercase and local uppercase more, okay, rather than using to lowercase and to uppercase. So, um, so that's actually it, okay? That's actually it. I can't, although I can't give an example that, um, shows the difference between to local lowercase and to lowercase currently, because both of them are virtually the same because of the country I am at now, which is not Nigeria. But you can actually try, maybe go online, check, um, wait, so let me even see this. Okay. So if you hover here, you see, uh, string in low. Okay, so if I said, if I said that now, taking, so see, convert all alphabetic character to lowercase, taking into account the host's environment, current local. So now this is going to take it to lowercase, but it's going to take it based on what lowercase means to the device that you're using this on, or to, if it's a a laptop or phone, or like it's going to take note of what that device understands as lowercase and as uppercase and apply it to what you're trying to convert to uppercase or to lowercase. Okay. So, but to uppercase and to lowercase doesn't take that into consideration. It doesn't take what kind of or what language or what environment the that lowercase is being executed on. Do you understand it now? Okay, so then we have okay, you're welcome, Udo. Uh So you can actually, check on more or check on others. So we also have age of 30, right? Uh age is a number, right? So what are the methods we can apply on this? Now with age, or sorry, with number, you can do arithmetic, you know. So if I say 30 times 2. So times will be asterisk. 30 times 2. That will give 60, right? That will give 60. Um, could do 30 divided by 2. Okay, that will be 15. Um, that will be 15, So forward slash is for, division. Asterisk is for multiplication. So if we wanted to raise 30 by let's say 30 raised to the power of, where is it? Yeah, 30 raised to the power of 2. So that would be 30 times 30. Hmm? Sorry, 30 asterisk asterisk 2. That's 30 raised to the power of 2. That's 900, right? So that's it. 30 raised to the power of 2. There are still others actually. Um, there's um 30, then this percent symbol, right? This is going to give you 0, and I would explain why, right? So um this is not a percentage symbol in JavaScript. This is a modulus symbol, and this modulus symbol means after the division, send me the remainder of the division rather than send me the result. So here the remainder is actually the result. So if we do something like, so if we did something like that, right? 30 divided by 4. Okay, sorry. So that would return the remainder of 7. Sorry, that would be sorry, that would give the remainder of 7. Oh, sorry. That would give the remainder of 2, right? So ah, a bit stressed currently, right? So if you want to get the remainder of, a division, right? That's when you can use this modulo symbol. Okay. So does anybody have a question on what I've done so far? Anybody? Is there anybody? Okay. Um, let's continue, right? Um, okay. Now let's look at the math operator. So, or the math function. So there's maths, right? And then this maths function has some um some properties and some methods. For example, log 10, log log 2, it has here, right? All of them are you can access them. So if you want to calculate, going to now say, okay, let me try to do it. Let's say that I have that the radius of a circle, maybe the radius, let me just do it like how math would do it. Let's r equals to maybe 5, for example. And then the area of a circle, it's already giving me the this thing here, right? So I could come here and say to brings the area of a circle, right? So now, instead of me coming to say 22 over 7 times 22 over 7 times 5 times 5, or 3.142 times 5 times 5. For people that don't know what the formula for calculating a perimeter of, oh, sorry, the area of a circle, right? It's pi r squared. That's I'm saying so for art students because I don't know, maybe there might be an art student here who will get confused, you know. So it's it's pi r squared, right? So and the value for pi is always either you can use 22 divided by 7 as pi, or you can use 3.142 as your value for pi. But instead of you writing pi like the 22 over 7 times uh, r, which is 5 times r again, you can just use, the constant. So math.py. So this, when this function is being executed, right, it's going to um it, it's going to convert pi from 22 from um just this expression to the actual value. So if we execute that, okay, I didn't save this, sorry. So we have that the parameter there is 78.53981, whatever. Okay. Um, is there any question currently? So apart from Pi, there are still others, right? You can actually go and research their name. So the one I specifically talked about last week also was this floor, the power, the round, and the ceiling. The ceiling should be up, and the seal here. Those were like the four I talked about. I don't know if you guys understood it. Um, which other topic should I talk about at this point? Um, we already know booleans, right? We already know booleans. It's true or false. That one I don't need to go into it too much. We know that null um is an object, but it's used to signify emptiness. So when maybe a variable is empty or something, right? Or you want to show that a particular variable has an empty value, you can use null. Undefined is used when you declare a variable, but then you're not giving it a value at the point of declaration, right? Symbols is it's used to create unique values, that's even if so now the thing with symbol is even if the value you're using to create a symbol is the same, even if I use ID to okay, so let me do this. Okay, let me say ID and I'll say ID2, right? And let me just remove all this. For example, let me remove all this. If I compare, if I say um console.log is unique ID1 equals to it's even telling us false. It's telling us false because each symbol is unique. So now if you want to create um if you want to let's say for example you want to create a list of um maybe a list of an array of objects, and then you don't want to give each object an ID, but you want um a key that can be used to reference each of those objects. And even if the key are duplicates, it should be treated as different values. Well, it's like I'm speaking in tongues. But when we get into using objects, right, we'll see how we can actually do what I'm trying to say now. But let me execute this one first for you to get the grasp of what I'm trying to say. So we see that even if the value we are converting for this one and this one, right? Like the value we are converting to a symbol is the same. So this could be my name. This could be Victor. This could be Victor again. So even if we do that, right? And then I come back and refresh here, it's still false. Why? Why is it false? Now that's because no matter how many times I create the symbol, or I use the symbol to create a symbol with the value of Victor, the what is the output or what is being saved, as a symbol, the value is never going to be the same. It's always going to be different. Even if I do this 3 times, even if I have the three symbols, but with the same name Victor, the three of them can never be the same. Okay, so that's the way symbols work. So the key takeaway is know that even if you're creating one symbol multiple times, the value is never going to be like the value of that symbol variable is never going to be the same. Okay. Um, so what else? I think we've gone through this list exhaustively. We've gone through this list already. Um, who else is still finding anything, difficult to understand at this point? Anybody? So, I believe everybody has installed VS Code at this point. Okay, yeah, Bright, not from the list, right? Not from this list, not from this one. What I'm asking if, yes, generally, that's based on what I have taught right from when we started CodeCamp 6.0 till now. Okay, so you mentioned function. Before I go to function, is there anybody that is still having it difficult trying to install VS Code or install Postgres, pgadmin, MongoDB Compass or MongoDB Server or anything, maybe Node.js, or is there anybody that is finding it difficult? Is there anybody that have encountered issues or in a Nigerian we encountered Shege while trying to install any of these tools? Is there anybody here? Okay, it's like um nobody has encountered any form of shagging with that. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. So let's move to functions. I hope I'm free to clean the board. Although this is not a board, this is a computer screen. I hope I'm free to delete all these things I've written so far. I hope I'm free to delete them. Okay, cool. I hope everybody is following. Oh. If you don't have, please, now I'm the one begging, please. If you have um maybe a topic that you don't still understand, please bring it so we can talk about it. Okay? And if after this class you can't still bring it up, write it in the Discord channel. Talk about it. So any other I can help you out. Any other person too that is active at that time can also help you out. They said a closed mouth is a closed destiny. So, but we are not saying that a closed mouth is a closed destiny here, sha, but try and talk and do it on time. Okay. Um, let's try. Let's let's talk on functions again. Let's recap what we talked about in terms of functions. Okay. Um, so a function is just simply a piece of callable statements, or not like let's just say a block, not a piece of callable statement, a block of callable statements that is either named or maybe on not named, but it's just now the reason for functions is that you want to be able to have a set of maybe actions to perform when you call um you know that function. So you can have like 20 functions, and each of those functions might be like have different things they do on their own, right? They might have different kind of things they do on their own, but at the end of the day, you want this you want to be able to call these 20 functions. Maybe if you have 20 buttons, you link one function with one button, one function with one button, and then once you call one function, you know that okay, this is what is going to happen. If you call this other function, you know this is what is going, all these kind of things, right? So that's the reason why you have something like a function. So uh you start a function by writing function, then the name of the function. Maybe say hello, and then the brackets there. Then you just simply console.log hello. Now, this is you writing or declaring a function. It's like saying, I have written a function, the name of the function is say hello, and then this function should actually print out, hello world on the um on the terminal when the app.js file is being executed, right? But it cannot just print this hello world until you call the function by its name. So it's just like saying, oh, say hello, then someone else says hello world, right? So this function has to be called before it can actually be executed. So that's why we now have this say hello here. If I execute this function, you'd see that it brings out hello world. But had it been I remove this say hello here and I come back to print, it's not going to, you know, show anything out here. It's not going to print out anything. Okay. Um, that's it basically. That's a very simple function. But now, what if you want the function to say hello, but you want it to say hello and also accept, or say hello and then show maybe a name, or maybe greet someone, and then you want to be able to control how the name that that function uses when it's greeting someone. So you can do something like this. You can say um, hello, and then you now say plus plus name, and then uh, in fact, let me turn this to full name, and then I'll turn this to full name. Please excuse the AI. So if I do that, of course, I can come here and say hello, then I'll say um if I'm correct with the spelling. No, I'm not. Sorry if I spelled your name wrong, Mr. Godwin. So if I do that and I say app node app.js, so it says hello, and the name I said it should, you know, print out. So I could say hello again, and then I can pass in more names, maybe Udo. Uh, why does this thing know that I'm using Nigerian names? Okay, so we can have that, and then if I execute the code, you see, it's accepting the name. So, oh, hello, this, hello, that, hello, Godwin, hello, Udo, hello, Fiwe, hello, Bright. You see that is accepting the names and showing them. So now this is called a parameter, right? This is called a parameter. I passed a param. So at this point, it's called a parameter. But when you're calling the function and then you pass in the value of the parameter, this is an argument. Some people interchange it, which is still fine. You can call this an argument, right? But this is a parameter, and then this is the value of that parameter or the argument for that parameter. Okay. And if you pass an empty string, it will just say hello, finish. It will just say hello, and it will not it will just fill that place uh with the empty string. Although empty string doesn't mean anything, right? If you pass null, if you pass null, it would say if you don't pass anything, hello undefined. Yeah. Now it's undefined because it prints hello undefined, right? But we can avoid this case, when we want it to always print. For example, if if we don't pass a name, maybe it should print something like, oh, hello user, which is default. You can do something like this. Now say, yeah, username should be equals to user. I full name should be equals to user. So doing so now, you see, when we don't pass a name, it says hello user. But when once we pass names, now says hello, and then it uses the name that we pass to it. So with this, you should already have picked some things. First, after declaring a function, you call that function by its name. Okay. Then if you don't pass the value of a parameter, that parameter will have undefined, you know, by default. Okay. And then if you want if you want to change the default from undefined to, a specific value, like in this case, full name will always be equal to user if the value for full name is passed. Then this is how you do it. You say full name is equals to user. Then anytime you call say hello without a parameter, it's going to automatically use the default value here. So this is called a default value, right? It's called a default value because it will be used if the value for the parameter is not supplied during the time you're calling the function. So I hope we understand this one. I hope we now understand this. Okay? Do we understand it now? People that say they don't understand functions. Do you understand functions now? How they operate, how they work? Who else is not understanding? There are some people in this class that are not saying anything. Oh. I'll call you by name. Ajibike, Daniela, Dean Chris, Divine Obi. Do you guys understand? Yes, now I'll call you by name. Daniela, I've not heard you. Excel, I've not heard you. Excel, do you understand? Excel, okay, Excel has said yes. Grace, Grace, do you understand? Type your yes. Me, I want to see it. Temitope, Triumph, do you understand? Triumph, do you understand? Okay, all right, I get Triumph. Oh, do you understand? Bright, I don't think I've heard you say anything. Oh, oh sorry, I don't think you've typed anything so far. Bright, Ajibike, did I call you before? Ajibike, are you here? If you understand, type in the comments in the chat section. Tell me that I understand. Okay, all right, nice. It's good that you guys are here and you're watching and understanding it. Okay, um, for the rest of the people that I did not call, the reason I didn't call you is that you've been dropping messages and I know that you're actually following, you're watching and you're following. Um, For the rest, I wanted to make sure they are following. Maybe that's what I'll be doing. I'll be calling you randomly to answer questions. Then if you cannot answer it, yeah, So that'll keep you guys on your toes. I think I saw a question. I think I saw a question. So is that the full name assigning a variable to it? Okay. Okay, yeah. So now this let me explain something. This full name here is a parameter. And the reason it is a parameter is this full name is only accessible by this function. So I cannot, for example, if I come here and do something like this, console.log, and I say full name, it's not going to work. If I come and execute it, it's not going to work. It's going to tell me full name is not defined. That's because full name is only accessible inside this function. That is why after I wrote this function, right, I put my console.log can access the variable or the parameter full name because full name is only accessible by the function. Anything outside this function cannot access the parameter full name. Okay, I think that's what you're trying to ask, Bright. I don't know if I've answered your question properly, but if that's what you asked, you can't access full name outside. You can only access it inside this function because it's a variable. But there is also an exception here. For example, if I have something like this, console dot const um my name equals to Victor, right? I have something like my name is equals to Victor. This my name can be accessed inside this function, can also be accessed can be also be accessed outside this function. I could do something like this. I could say console.log. Ah, okay, my name is my name, and then I could also do console.log. My name can also be accessed here. Then I'll do plus my name. Okay. So if you look at this, uh we have my name is Victor. Okay, before, yeah, let me expand this actually. Right? You see, my name can also be accessed here, right? And the reason why this is printing first is this is printing first before the function is being called. And if you notice, each time we call the function, it prints out the hello and the person's full name, and then it prints out this line of code again. That's because this line of code is being executed each time we call the say hello function. So that's why you're having this, right? So, but let me maybe leave it to only one, right? Let me clear. So we have that my name is my name here can be accessed. So you see, now this is a global variable, right? This is a global variable. Now a global variable can be accessed um you know generally outside, outside on the file that it's actually initialized in. You get. It can also be it can also be accessed inside here, inside your function. So that's why I'm able to do this inside my function. Also, I can also access it outside, you see. But if I move this into the function, for example, or I pass my name as a parameter, right? Maybe I instead of me writing, I just write, oh, comma name, comma my name. Then I now say comma Victor. I'll only be able to access it inside. So now at this point we would have an issue, right? When we try to um when we try to execute this function, we have a problem. It's trying to say my name is not defined. That's because my name, there's no variable name my name on the global scope. of this particular file. So this particular file, there's no global scope variable with the name, my name. Okay. But if I comment that line of code and I come back here, clear, then execute this, you find out that my name is Godwin Jonathan, my name is Victor. The Victor is actually still working, is working inside here. That's because the variable here is local to the function. So it's only this function that can access the variable. Um, Anything outside the function can't access it. Okay. So one other unique thing about variables is that in JavaScript, apart from passing primitive and primitive data types as variable, like for example, this function accepts a string, and that string is the Godwin Jonathan, and it's passed um as a primitive um, data type variable, right? Or a variable, right? That this primitive data type is passed as a variable to the say hello function. You can also pass references, right? A reference type, for example, function is a reference type, right? So I could pass a function here, as a reference type. But the only thing I need to do here is uh I'll need to call the function. So I could call the function a callback, right? And then here I could say CB uh CB and sorry. So now this is what is going to happen when I do this is anything I write inside this function, anytime I call say hello will just call the function I pass to it as a variable. So if I say um console.log hello from the callback function, it will just print out hello from the callback function. Um, I might decide to pass maybe statically typed things here. Maybe I could say something like, um, okay, maybe hello from the say hello function. I pass that as a, an argument to the callback. And here I can write a message here and a message there. Now what I'm doing here is I'm simply just passing um a callback. But then by virtue of this function call, this callback is being given an argument, right? So here I can pick this argument. I can call it whatever I want to call it. I can call it value, but uh, if I'm calling it value, it has to match. It has to match. Now if I do that and I execute, you see, hello from the say hello function, right? But now, what if I wanted it that I I should be able to I should be able to pass in my own variables, and those variables become the value in this function, right? So this is how I can do it. First, I want to pass maybe a value before the callback function. So what I can do, I can say, okay, value, then my callback function. Then since I want to use this value inside the callback function, I can pass it as an argument to this callback function. I can say value. Now, if I'm writing my say hello function, I'll just say hello. Oh, this thing, this stuff wants to autocomplete. I say hello from the other side. Then I'll write my function. Now, the value for this function, or whatever I want to call it, is going to be the value that was passed to the callback when say hello was being called. So which means this value here will be this value. Remember that this value here is this first argument when I'm calling the say hello function, right? While this callback is the second value, right? So I could say console.log the value here is just auto complete it. The value here is then that value. I'd save this and then clear my screen and then come back here and run this. So you see, we have two arguments here, a value and a callback, and then we are calling the callback as soon as say hello is being called. Then when we call say hello, we pass in the variables as usual. We pass in, you know, the value we want, which is this first value. Then we know that the second one is a callback function. So we call this callback function. Now, this callback function is being called inside it's just like, this is like a chain kind of reaction. You're calling say hello. Now, as you're calling say hello is now calling the function that you gave it. It's just like you slap somebody, the person slap you back. You're calling say hello in turn calls the function that you gave it. That's what is actually just happening here. This is you declaring a function that accepts a callback as a value, as a second argument, a value and a callback as the second argument. And then this is you calling the function that you declared and passing the arguments to it. You said the first argument should be a string, and then the second argument should be a callback function. That's simple, actually. That's very, very simple. Hmm. Is anybody still confused? So I know callbacks are usually uh kind of um a bit confusing, right? So what I would say is you understand this thing better by and by. You might not understand it today, but if you keep looking at this function, right? If you keep coming back to this video and looking at it and you try to write this on your own, right? And execute it and see how it works and play around with it, you will understand it. Now, this hello from the other side, of course, if I change it here, right? Maybe I'll change this here. Hello from me, save it, come here and execute, you see? Value is then the value, hello from me. This thing is actually just very simple. You're calling say hello is calling your callback function. Short and simple. So it's like saying it's more like a chain reaction. When I call say hello, oh yeah, do what I ask you to do. So what I ask you to do is I'm giving you a function. Call that function when I call you. It's just like saying if I call you, call your junior brother and tell him to do this, right? Or if I call you and so imagine if I tell you that, oh, if I call you and I show you the number, or I show you the number 3 on my palms, that you should call your junior brother to do something. That's exactly what is happening here. So I call, say hello, I give it my parameters, and then I tell it as I'm calling you, oh yeah, call, you know, the parameter I gave to you, and then pass a value to that parameter so that when I want to use, when I want to use, um, when I want to use that function, right? I can do what it's supposed to do. I can pass in the value of the variable or the value of the first argument, then the value of the callback, which is this function here. See, the thing that is confusing you people is it's very surprising that a function can be passed to another function as an argument. Just take this as a variable. Remember that. Now, let me shock you. A function is a data type. Yes. Just like we have array, we have string, we have this. Function is a data type. That is why you can even assign a function to a variable. That's why you can assign the value of a function to a variable. So a function is a reference. A function is under the reference data type. Just the same way you have array. Array is a data type. You have object. Object is a data type. You also have functions as a data type. So since it's a data type, it can be assigned as a variable. Yeah. It can also be passed to another function, as an argument. That's allowed. So I don't know if you guys understand. If you guys understand that, right? No. So no, it won't repeat the value, right? Now this is because callback. So someone is asking, I thought it will repeat it would have repeated the value since callback is still the value. No. So say hello is the function, callback is the argument, callback is the second argument. So what is happening is you're calling say hello is in turn calling the callback. So now when you're executing the function, you're calling say hello, you're giving it the parameter for value, or be the argument for value, and then you're giving it a function. So now say hello was designed to call this function that you're passing to it as a callback. It was designed to call this function. That's why when you call say hello calls this other function. Say hello. Okay. Let me remove this part. Let me leave it like this. Nothing will happen. That's because say hello is not calling any, like I've called say hello, but say hello is not calling this callback. That is why whatever I've written here is vanity upon vanity. Because it's not actually calling anything. It's just, but I I could decide that, okay, I could decide that maybe inside here I just want to console the log value, right? Which means the function I even passed there is useless. So it will just console the log hello. This is just console the logging, right? At the end of the day, it's just console the logging. But what if I wanted to do something meaningful? Now, this is now, if you think about it, this is me allowing the user that wants to use my function say hello to actually use the value. Okay, wait. I think there's something I should do. Let me give it, let me write something that is more meaningful. So if I say function and I say to uppercase, and then here I now say string, no, str, and then comma, and I'll say callback. This thing knows my heart desire. Then I now come here and now say that I don't want to use it. Then I come here and say call back. And then I now say I want to call back string, but I want to convert it to uppercase. Okay. Now when I'm calling to uppercase, right? When I'm calling to uppercase, I can pass in whatever I want. I could pass in um something. Maybe I'll just say something. Then I'll call pass a function here, right? Then I could call that function anything. I could say, okay, maybe uppercase result. So if I console the log the uppercase result here, it will be something in capital letter. I don't know if it is now clear to you. It will be something in capital letter, right? That's because we called we called the uppercase here. We passed in the first um argument, which is something, but something is in small letters. But then we now pass a callback, and then in the callback we now converted this string here to uppercase, and we now gave it to the callback. Now this part maybe I might, let's take for example, if this was a library, I might not really see this part. But I don't think that if I call uppercase and I then pass something and I pass a function, I can retrieve the value of converting this to uppercase and I can use that value to do whatever I want to do. I can decide to log out, um, the value of converting something to uppercase is, then I save it. Sorry. So, so, so the value of, I can decide to still call to uppercase again and then do something else. I like the way this thing is thinking. Another thing, the value of converting another thing to. So if I do this and I execute it, you see, the value of converting another thing to uppercase is another thing. Like the advantage of passing, function there is so that when I'm calling to upper, right? The advantage of passing a callback is so that when I'm calling to uppercase, I can receive the um the conversion of the uppercase as an argument, this function. I can decide whatever I want to do with it. I can decide that I want to output it in reverse. I can decide that I want to um convert it to an array, whatever. But this function just allows me to, give it what it should convert to uppercase, and then it gives me back in my function as an argument. I can use it to do whatever I want to do. I don't know if it's now clear to you. Is there anybody still confused? Is anybody still confused? Who is not following? Who is not following? Okay, so you know what? You might not understand callback, you know, at this point, and it's understandable to an extent. You will see how it is used more and more and more, later on in, our class, right? You'll see how it is being used, and then from there you would understand it better. I hope I made myself clear. You don't you just need to know how it works. For the most part, you might not be writing these parts. You might be given a function that accepts a callback, and you just need to use that function, right? But for some cases, you might also, write your own function and then use it, and your function should accept a callback. So if you don't understand this part, there is no problem. Okay. Already my time is up. So I don't know. Would is there any other topic that you guys don't understand that you want me to go over? Any? Is there any? Okay, so the increase you're saying imports, right? Imports is we've not talked about import and export yet. We've not talked about it, so we can't go into talking about that. I mean, uh, things you don't understand that we've talked about in previous classes, and you want me to recap or throw more light on any? Is there any? Okay, so um, I think that is all basically. I don't think there would be um there will be any other thing we need to talk about currently. I think I've been able to go through what you guys found confusing, right? So go over this class, go over it. If you, after watching this class, and or you still have questions based on what we've done in the past and everything, and you want to ask your questions, you can reach out, using the Discord. You can always reach out there, tag me or anybody, right? You can just drop your question there. Of course, if I see it, I would answer you. If anybody sees it earlier than I do, they can actually answer you, and then you grow, we all grow, right? So that's would wrap it up for this class. This is where we are going to wrap it up in today's class. Thank you very much. I believe I've been able to at least what uh break things down in this class, at least to a good extent. And I hope you guys understand it, um, and also get better in, JavaScript. Thank you very, very much. And I'll see you in the next class. So, the next class is going to be by next week, right? We are only going to have one class this week. Thank you. Which is this class that we just had. Thank you very much, and bye for now.